Welcome to Tech in the Car. This video is all about how the Kia infotainment system works on all the newest Kias. Right now we're in a Kia Niro EV, but it's exactly the same on the EV6 and all other new models of Kia. There are a few minor differences which I'll talk about as we go through the infotainment system. So let's get on with it. This is the infotainment system in front of us. We can see our home screen, which shows us the date, the time, whether your media's on, your location and your weather, and a map overview. You will see that when you turn the car on. Now, as far as navigating this goes, at the top here, there is a home button, a settings button, and then we've got our time, date, and Kia connected statuses. Also, you have your profile settings where you can change between guest and change user to another user. We're just staying driver one here. And that changes my seat position. And let's say I want to change back to guest. Then I'll put my seat back where it was before. So that's simple enough to do if you want to change users. And it will remember where your seat is and the settings. And you do have buttons for that too by the door. And then you go through to these options: EV, map, navigation, phone, phone projection, which is Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, voice memo, which lets you record a memo using your voice, climate control, valet mode, quiet mode, Kia Connect, Kia Live, your settings page, and then onto the second page, radio, media, notifications, and manual. So let's go through this one by one and see what the options are. Let's start with EV. If you don't have an EV, you won't have this option, but we do, so it is. Now you'll see we've got a split screen here. Now if I tap on the three lines here, I can turn off the split screen. So now we've got a lot more space here to see what's going on. So it's telling me my current battery level, 91%. It's telling me it's 0.4 miles to pod point, which is the nearest charging point, and what my current range is in miles, 214. Underneath it, it says next departure. So I can set this up so we can set a charging schedule. So the car will turn on the charging when it needs it to get to the amount of charge it needs. Now, you can normally control this on the charger or the car, depending on your charger, whether it's a smart charger or not. So you may not need to use this setting on any electric car. It's up to really what you have as a charger, but the option is there. This is vehicle to load, which when I tap on it, lets you share charge with other things. So you can charge another electric car. You could plug in your laptop computer. You can plug in lots of things. And there's two ways this works. One is through the charging port if you have a vehicle to load adapter. And the other way you can charge things is using the plug inside the car down below the back seats. So both options exist. Vehicle to load though is for the charge coming from the charger outside, using the charging port, basically reversing it. So instead of taking the charge in, it's giving out the charge. So vehicle to load is a very clever feature. And in fact, vehicle to load can charge your entire home potentially in a power outage if you have the correct configuration for your home network for electricity, which most people don't, but you can do it, is possible. You can also choose a minimum level that it will stop charging at if you are using vehicle to load between 80 and 20%. So you don't actually drain your battery of your car totally flat. If we tap on the side here, we get the split screen back and we can get rid of it. We have a little settings cog here, which takes us to our EV settings, and we can choose what the maximum percentage of charge level we want from particular chargers. Your AC charging current, whether you want it at 100%, 90%, or 60%. Your battery conditioning mode, which will condition the battery so it charges faster. Utility mode, which allows you to connect to other devices in the car for a long period of time if you're camping. Smart recuperation, which is the deceleration type used for recuperation. So it puts the energy back into the battery. So that is the one pedal driving essentially. And your charging connected locking mode, whether it stays connected when you finish charging or it unlocks itself. That's up to you to choose, but you have the option there. At the top here, we have another little button here, which takes us to our map. Now underneath the car display, you'll see the dual purpose multi-mode display that Kia uses. And right now it's set up into climate control, but if I press here, we go into our navigation and maps controls. So I can press a little star button to go back to the electric settings here. If we go to the map now, the map works exactly like you would expect. It shows you your location and shows us an overview of where we are, and you can search for nearby points of interest. Now, what's interesting about this is if you want to actually go back to your navigation that's separate from the map, navigation will use the map, but it actually takes you to a separate menu. If we click on navigation, we can then search for points of interest like charging stations nearby, and it will show us a list of charging stations, and I can tap on it and it will take us there. We can search for cafes, fast food, restaurants, convenience stores, everything you would expect. We can search for particular actual locations and addresses. We can save places. We can search for Kia service, and we can also use Kia Live, which will show us live charging stations and live parking information. And of course, you can choose what you want to go and where you want to go. And you can even save favorites at the bottom: home, office, favorite 1, favorite 2, favorite 3. So you can do quick routes. Now, let's say I want to travel to Manchester Town Hall, why not? The car will now calculate the route from where I am to Manchester, and it will tell us whether it's the fastest, most economic route, and it will say the battery capacity isn't enough to reach that destination. So would you like to add some charging stations to get there? Yes, please. It will now add those charging stations, and it will tell me where I can stop along the route and how long I need to stop for. So it's suggesting I stop at InstaVolt, which is a high power charging charger, at 7 o'clock, and it's 148 miles away, and it's about in the middle of the country here, probably around Birmingham area, and that will get me all the way to where I need to go in 5 hours and 15 minutes. And the fastest and most economic route are the same. And I can click start guidance, and that's it. Very, very simple to use.
The route guidance will start now.
And then it will start calculating the guidance, and we can cancel the route or see a route overview. So we cancel the route because we don't want to do that. And there we go. We can then tap the home button to go back to the home page. Now, phone is very straightforward. It will connect your phone via Bluetooth, and it will let you search for your contacts and see your messages. So phone works very, very much as you would expect it to. Phone projection is Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. If I plug it in, it will then open Android Auto, and we have a nice widescreen view here on this Kia model. Most Kia models have that as well because there's a wide screen, and so Android Auto defaults to wide. But that is Android Auto. That's not really anything complicated. It works exactly how you would expect it to. And then we can go back to Kia's normal settings. Voice memo lets you record a voice memo. I don't know why you would want to record a voice memo in your car when you can do it on your phone, but you have the option. Climate, very simple. This is the climate control settings. There are a row of buttons, as I mentioned, on the multi-mode system, which allows you to adjust your climate settings without needing to use a screen. But if you want to use a screen, you can see all the options and you can set it as you want. And it's exactly what you see down below, just on the screen. I personally wouldn't bother using that, but you have the option. Valet mode allows you to give the car to a valet and they can park it, and they don't have access to everything that you can get normally. I can't demonstrate that, unfortunately, because I don't own this car, but that's what valet mode does. Quiet mode, it removes sound from the back seats and only puts it to the front seats. So if you've got somebody asleep in the back, they're not going to be disturbed. I think that's very clever and very thoughtful of Kia. Kia Connect allows us to connect and see live weather, sports, vehicle diagnostics, anything which requires a live connection. Kia Live allows us to see live traffic, live charging stations, and live parking. Radio takes you to radio, and you can save favorites along the bottom here and change between the stations using the buttons there. Media takes you to your media. If Android Auto or CarPlay connected, it will automatically open that. If not, it will show you any media which is saved on your phone or any other media which you have on the car. Notifications shows you notifications for your map, navigation, and for your phone. And then we have the manual, which you can scan a QR code and open up the manual for your car. Now, the last thing to look at here is the overall settings. So these are the individual settings. Vehicle, and this is your driver safety features. So whether you want to turn on the head-up display, whether you want to use a driver assistance, eco mode, head-up display, cluster, what theme do you want it? What do you want to be shown? Your climate, how do you want that to work? Seat, do you want the seat to move? Do you want it to be warm? What is the ambient light? What would you like it to be? Your door settings, do you want them to lock? Do you want the tailgate to fully open? Or do you want it to automatically open when you've got the key in your pocket? And convenience, do you want it to tell you when your wireless charging system is enabled? Do you want it to give you that extra information? So those are the general car settings. EV, you've seen those are the same as in the EV section. Navigation, Again, does it show the traffic info, the vehicle speed? Do we want the vehicle speed on screen? Yes, why not? Guidance information, do we want to be muted or not? Your alerts, do you want alerts for cameras? I love the fact that there are camera alerts built into this car. It will tell you when there's a speed camera and give you an alert. I love that. And your map mode, what size font do you want? What color do you want? What color do you want your vehicle to be? And your automated features, do you want it to return to the map? Do you want a satellite view? Do you want to know your exact position? There we go. Sound is if you want the bass, the equalizer, the position. How loud do you want the driver guidance to be? In fact, let's turn up the bass on here. Why not? Radio noise control, do you want noise reduction? That's very clever. Again, driver assistance, do you want haptic feedback? Android Auto and CarPlay, how loud do you want that to be? Profile, that's the same profile settings we've seen. Voice recognition, that is if you talk to the car, if it will recognize you. Theme layout, that is the layout of the display. Do you want the split screen on? What kind of clock do you want? Analog, digital, cluster theme. Do you want that to change as well? Display, how bright do you want it? Do you want a blue light filter at night? What time do you want the blue light filter to turn on? Button, this is what the extra buttons do. There are shortcut buttons in the car. On the bottom navigation system here, you can see the little star. On the steering wheel, there's a star and there's a mode button. So you can change what those do, which is great to see. And then Kia Connect, settings for that. Do you have an active account? Is it enrolled? Is it set up? And your general settings, which are the system information and your date and time and your language and your keyboard. These are the dials on the car, and you can see we can change between them. So if I press the mode button on the steering wheel, I can go to sport, very sporty, eco, very green, normal, normal. And I can move along the top here and go between the speed, your directions, your information. It's just a very, very simple and easy to use system that I can adjust and move through very simply without really having to think about it. Like everything, you take some time to get used to it, but it is straightforward. We've got our range down here and we've got our efficiency at the bottom here as well. So you can see what's going on with that. And that's the infotainment system on the newest Kias that you can get. So if you have a Kia, hopefully that's given you a good guide to everything that you need to know. But if you do have any questions, let me know down below. Please watch my full reviews of all the Kia cars you can imagine, plus lots of other cars, including supercars and electric cars and every kind of car. And don't forget to give me a like, subscribe, and I've got a free ebook on how car technology works. So if you're interested, check that out too. The link is on my YouTube channel. Thank you very much for watching.